Hi, I'm James McGuire here at the RSA conference with Barry Mainz, Chief Executive Officer of Forescout. Barry, very good to talk with you today.
You as well. Thanks for having me.
All right, so I'd like to talk about operational technology, but please, first tell us about Forescout. What does the company do? How does the company serve its clients?
Okay, good question. So simply this, we provide the ability to take a look at what assets are on your network.
See?
You can classify them, tell you what they are, what version of something. We help people assign risk to that. So based on the behavior, is there a risk profile you prefer or not prefer?
Right.
We give them the capabilities to detect and respond, and then we have control. Hey, if someone comes on the network, we don't like what we see, we can say block them, put them down a segment, what have you. And we do that for not only managed devices, but what's turning out to be really exciting, and we do that for unmanaged devices without an agent. So that could be OT devices or IoT devices.
So there's certainly a lot of buzz around operational technology. What do you see as the key trends driving the sector these days?
So I always kind of think that when there's risk, there's complexity, and maybe you have government regulations coming in,
Right.
there's an opportunity. And with the 4-day disclosure that came out in January, the government saying, hey, you have to disclose for breaches, not only for traditional IT devices, also OT and IoT devices. We see it the federal government in Europe and within UN doing the similar thing. So it's driven, I go and talk to CISOs or executives, and OT, IoT first thing on their mind. Hey, what do we do? Are we protected from it? What can you help us with? This kind of thing. So it's top of mind.
So if companies come to you and look for advice, and how do we handle our OT? What sort of advice do you normally give them?
Well, if they're a current customer, we say you came to the right place because it's just an expand of what you currently have.
Sure.
And let me tell you how the strategy works. And what really is compelling is we don't have to install an agent, because they're all worried about, like, some of these devices, you can't there's no USB stick to install something.
Right.
So we do it with technology, kind of our liquid agent, that we do it based on looking at traffic and information. So that's the first thing we say, hey, we can help you, came to the right place, it's an add-on. If it's a new customer, let's say you're like a very large grocery store chain.
Sure.
Maybe the second largest one that I met with today. And I tell them, hey, well, where are you on the chain? Are you, just kind of starting with asset and just, kind of disclosure and, kind of risk assessment? And then usually start there. And they say, hey, I just want to know what's on the network. Give me a risk profile.
Okay.
We walk them through a buyer journey. We have a very specific buyer journey that we walk through. They tend to start there with the end up being control. And then we talk to them about, hey, an asset's an asset to us. We can do both OT, IoT. We have different reports that talk to OT people if you need to. And, we can kind of get a vision match on where they want to start, and tend to kind of be a pretty nice rinse and repeat for us.
Is this normally large enterprise, mid-size? What are the company size typically?
Most of our revenue comes from the largest, to be fair, enterprises, whether they're public or private.
Okay.
That's 80% of our revenue.
Sure. Okay, let's drill down into the Forescout product offering. What sets Forescout apart from its competitors?
So, we've got a traditional NetSec product, right? So it's network segmentation and network management. So we can give people policies on, hey, you have a set of policies on what you want people to abide by to connect, and we make sure that those people will comply.
Okay.
And that's a traditional product. We also have products that are very specific towards OT and IoT. So it's, have the right use cases, have the right reports, because reports are different for IoT and OT than, let's say, a report might be for traditional PCs. And, how you look at things, how they want to look at them, this kind of stuff. So we provide, specific platform for OT and IoT. And then we have our ecosystem connectors that we have that allow people to partner with, through software, work with different partners to do things. Like, let's say we have a connector that interfaces with all the Cisco hardware. And if you have Cisco and you have, let's say, Palo Alto Networks, we can do both, all heterogeneous, right? So we have the ecosystem connectivity.
All right, Barry, let's go ahead and take a look to the future. I mean, what do you foresee in the near to midterm future, say 2 to 4 years out? Where is cybersecurity going? And most important, how can companies get ready for that now?
Yeah, so it's going to sound kind of corny, but at first I think it's just education.
Oh,
right? That there are solutions out there. If you look at the people that are managing operational technology, they're very different than the people that are managing IT or information technology. So I think there's an education on how do you look at and secure and control devices.
What is the difference there? I'm just curious.
Most of them have backgrounds in building things and mechanical things, and they know how to work with, infrastructure and pieces. Let's say if you work for a power utility, there's a lot of manual things that have to happen, versus virtual things.
Sure.
I also think there's org structure changes that we're starting to see, because in a typical organization, you have the IT folks, they report up through CISO, what have you, right? And there is a OT IT, but that often reports up to the COO or something different. And we're starting to see some structural changes on, we've got to bring these together a bit, maybe not completely, but, let's say, hey, how do we measure risk? What do we do with things as a company? Hey, the government's come to us and said, we got to, disclose. What does that mean? And so I think we're starting to see a lot of the routines change on how they look at the business and really I even see one company I thought was, pretty clever. They're moving people from IT, moving them into OT, letting them report there to say, hey, how do we, put routines in place? How should we be thinking about the reporting? What tools, technologies should we use? And that seems to be working. There's 3 or 4 companies I know that have started to do that.
Is there one sort of worry or challenge you think is like looming in the horizon, or not necessarily as you see it?
There's a lot of them. We talked before we started filming here, and that we do a lot of research, and so we have vulnerabilities over millions of endpoints.
Right. You have the data.
Yeah.
Okay.
And about 10 months ago, it started popping up that the embedded operating systems were showing that they were being exploited. Oh. And the embedded operating systems are the ones that are in the critical infrastructure, in the planes, trains, automobiles, in the
vulnerable.
Very vulnerable, and they're hard to go fix, because it's like, hey, let's say you have a bunch of PLCs in a device that's, or in a manufacturing plant. You could have 4,000 of those things. Oh. So how do you update them? There's no USB stick. What do you do? They're hard coded in. So it makes it more complicated and a little more challenging to say, hey, what do we do? And they may not even know where they all are. They're in a big thing that's built there. It's a industrial robot, for example.
That's a headache.
Yeah, it's a headache. It's like I got to take the thing apart to go find it. So there's some challenges, physical challenges, but I do feel like it's got to get our arms around, hey, let's put together some solutions. Let's be smart about it. And the good news is, like Forescout, we have solutions that can help them today.
Barry, it's a lot of great material. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise today. Very much appreciated.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.